as a fan of the sport and as the middleweight champion of the world, that's a fight that gets me more excited. Taking somebody's I've beaten Strickland before, and I know I'll beat him again. So, getting that Khamzat fight, that gets me excited. I think the whole world, the fans wants to see it. The fans are ultimately paid to watch the fights. So the fight the world thinks is the best next fight, that's what I want. So, yeah, I think the Khamzat fight is 100% what I want. The UFC is going to do what they're going to do, but from a fan perspective and from a fighter's perspective, I think Khamzat should get the next shot. Yeah, I mean, the fight went, the fight was always going to go two ways, in my opinion. It was going to be Khamzat in the first two and Whittaker right after that. Is Khamzat going to be able to take me down? Absolutely. Absolutely, he'll be able to take me down. This is how a fight works. I would hope so. Isn't he like some Swedish champion or something? I would hope he could take me down. But then he has to deal with me on the ground, and he has to keep me there. Can I take Khamzat down? Absolutely. Am I going to take Khamzat down? Absolutely. I'm not scared of Khamzat wrestling. I'm not evading. I'm not trying to stay off the ground with Khamzat. That's the mistake everybody makes.
Now it's my time. Yeah, don't run too much. Let's wait, man.
Dricus Du Plessis may respect Khamzat Chimaev, but he's not walking into this fight to trade compliments. As the middleweight champion, Dricus is stepping into the cage to shut down all the noise and end the hype surrounding Khamzat once and for all. It's not about personal drama, it's about showing the world who really owns the division.
They promised me, like I said before, Gilbert Burns, if you win with this guy against this guy, I'm gonna fight for the title. I'm not after that get just title. I'm going after all heads in the UFC, Yeah, smash somebody, make money, be happy, man. If I finish everyone, stop everyone, they has to give me all belts, so.
Even before the fight was made official, Dricus was already leaning toward this matchup. He looked at Khamzat not just as a big name, but as a real threat. A fighter who could bring out the best in him. That's the kind of opponent he wanted. Someone dangerous. Someone who'd make victory feel earned. He's beaten Sean Strickland before and isn't losing sleep over a rematch. But when the talk of Khamzat got louder, Dricus listened. Not because of the hype, but because he knew the fans were ready for something bigger. Now that it's official, Dricus seems fully locked in. There's no more waiting. He's got the fight he wanted, and he's ready to handle business.
Yeah, I think Khamzat's an incredible fighter, but you're fighting in the top 5 of the UFC. Everybody's incredible fighters. And, he has this one thing that works for him, and it's been good, but Khamzat is an absolute animal, absolutely.
But don't let the respect fool you. Dricus isn't planning to let this be a feel-good moment. Once that cage door shuts, it's all business. His mindset shifts from respectful champion to ruthless competitor. When asked about Khamzat, his calm tone made the message even sharper. He wasn't rattled. He was ready. He wasn't out to prove anything. He's past that. What he wanted was to test Khamzat in ways he hadn't been tested before. This wasn't about landing one big shot. It was about applying pressure until something cracks. Dricus wasn't looking for a back and forth. He was aiming to control every second. His goal? Make Khamzat feel threatened, not just by the fight, but by the idea that he might finally meet someone who won't break.
Now, whether it be Strickland or Khamzat Chimaev, it's Strickland. I have felt everything you can give. And I promise you, this time the judges won't need to be there. If it's Khamzat, you think you're strong, you think you're powerful, you have not felt anything. And I can't wait till I see it on his face, because I see it on every single person I fight's face when they realize, oh shit, that's the.
Do we have a message for Khamzat Chimaev?
I'll see you when I see you. I think he tweeted something. He actually tweeted, because when his tweets make sense, it's his agent, and when it's just like random English words in a certain, it's him, and he said this fight shit fight, yeah. Bullshit fight, yeah. Well, I mean, trying to get to a fight. Couldn't get the welterweight title. Definitely not getting the middleweight title. Like, talk about a waste of potential.
Khamzat Chimaev doesn't seem too impressed with Dricus Du Plessis as well. When asked about Dricus' run so far and his grappling skills, Khamzat kept it simple. He brought up the fact that Robert Whittaker managed to take Dricus down during their fight, and for Khamzat, that said enough. If Rob could do it, then there's nothing special going on there. It wasn't said with arrogance. It was more like Khamzat had already done the math in his head and didn't see anything threatening.
Sure. That's about it.
Wanted to get your thoughts on Dricus as a champion, his run so far, and what do you make of his grappling?
What do you think, guys? How I done with this guy, Rob? How he done? Rob took him down. So if Rob took him down, so there is salam alaikum.
In another interview, when the conversation shifted to Dricus submitting Israel Adesanya, Khamzat wasn't blown away again. In his eyes, Izzy isn't the same fighter anymore. He felt Adesanya had lost some of his fire, some of his hunger. Khamzat still believes Izzy is technically better than Dricus, but right now, Dricus just wants it more. He sees that Dricus is hungry to stay champ, and that desire is probably what helped him take the belt. But even with that hunger, it didn't sound like Khamzat was too concerned.
What do you make of Dricus Du Plessis, especially seeing that he submitted Izzy? I've never seen him submit anybody.
Yeah, but Izzy is going down slowly. I don't think so. He's that motivated like before.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, but Izzy is better fighter than Du Plessis, I think.
You think Izzy's better than Dricus?
Yeah,
but they fought.
They fought, but like a fighter, I mean, but then you have how much you're hungry, how much you want. These things is what you can be a bad fighter, and you could be some guy can beat you up 4 rounds and last round because of your heart you win the fight, you know. So that's that thing he don't have anymore, I think. But he is a good fighter. He's not bad fighter. I think he's much better than Du Plessis. But Du Plessis wants the more. Yeah, now he wants to be a champ. He wants to stay there. That's why he took the belt, win the fight.
We know Khamzat and Dricus are already at each other's throats. The tension is real, and the buildup is getting wilder by the day. But beyond the trash talk and stare downs, everyone wants to know one thing: who actually has the edge in this fight? To get a better idea, let's turn to the experts. And we're starting with Reinier de Ridder. Reinier didn't hold back when asked about this matchup. In fact, he joked that he's still hoping Khamzat pulls out last minute so he can jump in at UFC 319. That alone shows how serious he is about stepping into the cage with either man.
I'm still hoping Khamzat pulls out last minute. It's 2 weeks after my fight, so maybe we can still get lucky.
But when it came down to choosing a side, Reinier leaned toward Dricus. Why? It wasn't just a gut feeling. He's trained with both guys and feels that Dricus has the edge in terms of cardio and fight rhythm. According to Reinier, he doesn't see Khamzat finishing it early, and once the fight stretches into the later rounds, things could shift toward Dricus. He explained that Dricus builds momentum as the rounds go on. That 3rd, 4th, and 5th round energy, Reinier believes that's where Dricus shines, slowly outworking and edging his opponents.
I'm not sure. I'm still leaning towards Dricus because of the experience I have with training with both the guys. I just don't see Khamzat finishing him early, and I see Dricus building in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. I see him edging it out, but we'll see. Hopefully it never happens and I can jump in.
Reinier's breakdown wasn't based on hype. It came from a clear understanding of both fighters' strengths. And if things don't go according to plan and someone pulls out, Reinier's ready. He's already eyeing the opportunity and could even be cage side to stay close to the action. But for now, his prediction is clear. Dricus Du Plessis might just outlast and outwork Khamzat if the fight goes deep. Even former middleweight champ Luke Rockhold has shared his thoughts. Having trained and grappled with Khamzat before, Rockhold knows firsthand how strong and dangerous Khamzat can be, especially early in a fight. But when asked about the matchup with Dricus Du Plessis, Rockhold didn't jump straight into praise. Instead, he pointed out something that many fans have also wondered. Khamzat starts fast, but what happens if the fight drags on? From Rockhold's view, Khamzat's pressure, ground skills, and wrestling are top tier, but his pace tends to slow if the opponent doesn't fold early.
Wolf, he is there training. You've grappled with him. He's got a big fight against DDP, Dricus Du Plessis, someone you've had a lot of rounds with. After feeling both those men, how does that fight play out?
We'll see how it plays out. I think how Khamzat is very good at wrestling. He's very good on the ground. He's very good at pressure. The longevity of the fight, it hasn't been his best approach. So you see with Usman, you see with Gilbert. Tough.
That's where Rockhold sees the fight getting interesting. He spent time sparring with Dricus too, and what stood out to him was how durable the guy is. According to Rockhold, Dricus doesn't fade easily, and if he can survive the early storm, he has what it takes to flip the momentum. He gave the impression that if Khamzat doesn't finish the job quickly, the fight might slowly tilt in Dricus's favor.
Test. I've put a lot of rounds in with GDP, and he don't go away. So unless he gets to him early, it's going to be tough late.
So if he doesn't put him away early, it's a DDP type of fight.
I think that's the way the DDP goes. You know, he manages to get through, weathers the storms, and he keeps going. That's what champions do, and that's why DDP's on top.
Very soon there's going to be a championship fight between Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight title. How do you think the fight will play out, and who do you think was going to get his hand raised? As I said before, Dricus is in very good, strong hands in this fight, and we will make sure to remember his name with 2 seconds of silence afterwards.
Now, if there's one guy who knows the tension surrounding Dricus, it's Israel Adesanya. Even though they haven't fought, their rivalry has been brewing for a while. So when Izzy gives his take on the Khamzat versus Dricus matchup, it comes from more than just watching from the sidelines. He's been locked in on Dricus for a long time. Adesanya thinks Dricus has what it takes to win, especially if the fight goes deep. He sees Dricus as unpredictable and wild, which could work in his favor if he manages to drag the fight into later rounds. On the flip side, if Khamzat is going to pull it off, it'll have to be early, within the first 2 rounds. Izzy sees this as one of those fights that could go completely off script because both guys are just so explosive in different ways.
Not bad, but I still think Dricus gets it. I think just late finish, late finish. Khamzat will, I think Khamzat will, if he wins, it's the first 2 rounds, or the first round. But Dricus is just chaotic. Chaotic good, chaotic evil. That's literally what this fight might be. Chaotic good versus chaotic evil.
One man who knows what it takes to survive in the middleweight division is Robert Whittaker. When asked about the upcoming fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis, he shared his thoughts on how it might go. He said the matchup is a tough one to call, but if there has to be a favorite, it would be Dricus. Not because of hype or rankings, but because of how the fight might play out round by round. Whittaker explained that Chimaev will likely get Dricus to the ground at some point. That part feels almost certain to him. Khamzat's wrestling is powerful, and he always looks to take control fast. But the real question is whether he can finish the fight early. If he doesn't, things could turn against him quickly. According to Whittaker, the longer the fight goes, the better it gets for Dricus. While Khamzat is explosive in the first round and known for fast finishes, his fights that go to a decision tend to be much closer. He isn't as dominant when the pace slows and his energy drops. That's where Dricus could take advantage, pushing through the tough early rounds and coming on strong late in the fight.
Your opinion on the championship fight that's happening in August, Dricus versus Khamzat. What do you think is going to happen, and who do you think is going to get their hands raised in middleweight?
It's tricky. I think the favorite would have to be Dricus, just because, I think the favorite would have to be Dricus. The only things I can really say with any sort of certainty is that Chimaev will get Dricus to the mat, but if Chimaev doesn't finish Dricus there, I find it hard for him to win. I think the longer the fight goes, Dricus is more favourable. Chimaev has outstanding first-round finishes, but, every fight that's gone the distance has been close.
Tito Ortiz flips the script completely. While many wonder if Dricus can handle Khamzat's pressure, Tito doesn't think Dricus even makes it that far. He's all in on Chimaev, convinced that people are about to witness just how dangerous he truly is. Tito gives Dricus his credit, but to him, the champ's about to face something he's not prepared for. He sees Khamzat's wrestling as a different beast, one that Dricus won't be able to handle. Once that pressure hits, all the confidence Dricus carries starts to fade fast. He even brought up Bo Nickal's last fight as a warning sign. A top-level wrestler can slip when they stop using what made them great, but Khamzat doesn't make that mistake. He mixes it all together. Takedowns, strikes, control, and makes it look effortless.
How do you predict that fight plays out?
People are going to see how vicious Chimaev truly is.
I respect the guy. He's a monster. Du Plessis, the champ, I think he's in him for a rude awakening because he's going to realize that his wrestling is not as good as Chimaev's truly is. And it was heartbreaking for me in that middleweight division because when Bo Nichols got picked apart his last fight, I was like, man, why didn't you wrestle? You're one of the best guys in the world in wrestling. Use your wrestling. And that's what all the Russians do. They use their wrestling to set up punches. They use their punches to set up the wrestling, and then they take people down and they choke them because they're real.
Tito doesn't expect this one to go the distance either. He says 3 or 4 rounds max before Khamzat breaks him down completely. And it's not just based on what he's seen. He's heard things from people like Rampage Jackson who've watched Khamzat train, and the word is this version of him is sharper, meaner, and more focused than ever. For Tito, Khamzat isn't just fast, he's terrifying. The kind of fighter who can close the distance in seconds, get his grip, and drown you before you realize what hit you. His prediction is simple, Dricus just won't be able to survive the storm.
Really good at it. I think Chimaev, I would give it maybe 4 rounds, 3 to 4 rounds, 3 to 4 rounds. I think Chimaev just overwhelms him too much. I think that's my opinion. Once again, I watch him. I watch Chimaev. I just see how tough he is, and I know he had training camp actually at Jackson Clothing Company or Jackson in California, correct? And was it
with Bear and Rampage is also there.
Yep. And so I know he's doing really well. I talked to Rampage. Rampage goes, no, he's the real deal, Tito. I go, I see him. I watch his fights and how vicious. I mean, he can shoot a double leg from half the cage and still take a guy down. He's just very vicious.
Tough fight. Tough fight. I think that, Dricus has the size. He probably has a little better cardio. I think striking is pretty even. I would say, Khamzat obviously has a massive advantage in the grappling. All that considered, I think I'd give the edge to Khamzat because of that wrestling advantage. We really haven't seen. It's just you just don't get like strong grapplers like that competing. You're not used to that. Like no matter what Dricus is going to do, he's not going to be able to game plan for that, and he's not going to have felt that from anyone. Really, the only 2 guys I believe in the sport that can give that feel are me and Khamzat. So. I think that gives him an edge. That gives him an advantage. The longer the fight goes, the bigger the advantage is for Dricus. But seeing Khamzat in his last fight against Whitaker, he was very impressive. And, all in all, it's going to be a great fight, but I would give the edge to Khamzat.
At this point, it's more than just talk. Dricus and Khamzat are ready to go to war, and everyone has their pick. Some say Dricus survives the chaos. Others think Khamzat crushes him early. But when the cage closes, only one walks out on top. Let us know in the comments, who do you think wins?